has his entire family here to support him today. Let me welcome you to the House. Statement by ministers. Announcements. Ms. Clarke. Just a brief comment prior to announcements. I have taken note of the many perspectives expressed in the public domain on my ruling regarding the tabling of reports from the Auditor General. Let me state categorically, any action taken by me was and will always be done with the sole intention of upholding the laws of Jamaica, as I am sworn to do. Having considered all of what has been said, I have taken note of the varying different legal perspective, and I continue to hold the view that in law, there continues to be a dissonance in the interpretation of how the reports on public bodies should be tabled. I have taken a further decision to today table the reports which are in question, and additionally seek to further resolve the issues as it relates to the appropriate mechanism to table said reports, and will include, in addition to continued consultation, having a meeting, a discussion with the Auditor General, hopefully later this week. Clarke?
Madam Speaker, in light of your advice to the Parliament just now, I'd like to ask just two questions. Firstly, you have indicated that you will proceed to table the reports that have been outstanding for 3 months today. And we believe that that is a good and correct move to make on your part. However, we still would like to understand the original basis for withholding them. And you did say that you had received a legal opinion from the Attorney General's chambers. And Madam Speaker, I think in light of everything and our various appeals to see that opinion, that you should provide us at the earliest opportunity, and we do believe that it should be today, with a sight of the opinion. And you did say that you would be having consultation with the Auditor General. We would like to be involved in that consultation as well. And finally, Madam Speaker, I thought you would have gone further today, because yesterday was a significant day in our Parliament when a letter which was sent to the Clarke became known to us. And it has caused us on this side tremendous distress, especially as we anticipate that the Clarke, well, we know that the Clarke is about to demit office, having served this Parliament for so long. And the tone of it, Madam Speaker, I don't think we as a Parliament could proceed today without having a discussion on this point. And for you, Madam Speaker, to indicate really what motivated that action yesterday in upgrading the Clarke, in disciplining the Clarke, in the way that it was done in the public.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I do think that it's always fair comment to make a point at any statement made by the Speaker, by any member in the House. But to ask you at this point to enter into a discussion or debate on a matter of a member of this administrative arm of Parliament in the presence of the member too. It's Madam Speaker, what is very clear is that there's a sensitivity too that we shouldn't ignore in this House. And the fact is that the Speaker and the Clerk are currently in discussion on the matter. And I would urge that we respect that, and that indeed an appropriate statement will be made at the end of those discussions. So and in fairness, both of us have had that discussion, and it disappoints me.
Madam Speaker, I hear what the leader of government business is saying, but this matter is now a public matter. It occurred largely because of the email that was sent to all of us, and with the letter. And Madam Speaker, I know that there might be discussions taking place, but I don't think the public would feel satisfied of your coming today, going through the process without saying something. We were really expecting that the letter would have been withdrawn today, Madam Speaker. And that is really our position. So, Madam Speaker, I'm hoping that you will say something on the matter before we proceed, especially in light of our call for the withdrawal of that letter.
Thank you, members. I note your request as it relates to further steps to be had with the Auditor General, and on the matter of the clerk, I advise you, both from myself and the clerk, that we are in dialogue and wish to say nothing else at this time. Clarke, announcements, please. Ms. Curtis, announcements.
Madam Speaker, yes.
As it relates to supplying the Parliament the legal opinion from the Attorney General's chamber, I remain in the same position I did when the ruling was given, in that the opinion of the Parliamentary Legal Counsel was circulated to the Parliament and the public. That has not changed. The Attorney General, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, the Attorney General, no.
We want to repeat our claim.
You can repeat, and I'm saying the Speaker's ruling, member, with absolute respect, is final in this regard. There is nothing to hide, but it is the Speaker's discretion. It is the Speaker's discretion to make a ruling having taken into consideration all the opinions received, which was done. I remain of the view that the reports are not properly being tabled. However, with reports that have been too back and forth from the Parliament to the Auditor General and back again, in the interest of ensuring that what is our ultimate aim, one of having the probe of our Auditor General and the findings of those reports available to the public, the continued issues as to the proper procedure in which to table these reports, I believe it is more important, particularly with another month to come until we come back to Parliament, to table the reports and then continue the dialogue with the Auditor General instead of holding same. And that is my decision. Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following: financial statements assessment regarding the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, certified appropriation account for tax administration Jamaica, headed 20,056 for the financial year 2020-2021. Auditor General's Department Special Audit Report for the Financial Services Commission and the Human Resources and Procurement Procedures. Auditor General's Department Financial Statement Assessment of Public Bodies Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, and the Auditor General's Department Special Audit Report for Tax Administration Jamaica leasing arrangements.
Thank you. Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally, questions and answers to questions, motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice, motions relating to the sitting of the House, motion for leave to introduce bills, presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. And please permit me, House Leader, before public business, to welcome Mr. K.D. Knight, who is here in the House, former Senator and Member of Parliament today. Public business.
Madam Speaker, the continuation of the budget debate on the appropriations bill will now be entertained, and our speaker is, of course, the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clarke, and Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Northwestern. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Let us make welcome to his feet the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the member from St. Andrew Northwest, to make his presentation on the closing of the debate. Members.
Madam Speaker, I rise this afternoon to close the budget debate on the appropriation bill for the upcoming 2024-25 fiscal year. And I begin, Madam Speaker, by taking the opportunity to welcome Jamaicans here in Jamaica and in the diaspora, and those tuning in on radio or television in Jamaica, or through any one of the number of social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or other online platforms. Thank you for your participation. Madam Speaker, the debate has been vibrant, passionate, and colorful. On behalf of the people of Jamaica, I thank the contributors to the debate, the Most Honorable Prime Minister for delivering a presentation of substance that demonstrates the achievement of this government and a presentation that delivered hope. Born in a Spanish Town boardhouse, studying hard at school, take out your student loan, and working for an NGO before rising to become Prime Minister, you are an inspiration to millions of Jamaicans. You keep moving the ball forward for the Jamaican people, Most Honorable Prime Minister. I thank the Leader of the Opposition for his presentation. Last year, I said there may have been a few yellow card moments. But this year, Madam Speaker, the Opposition Leader definitely earned a red card. Red card, red card. But, Madam Speaker, we thank him for his contribution nonetheless. Madam Speaker, I also thank the opposition spokesman on finance for his budget presentation. For him, I have to use a cricketing analogy. He bowled some full tosses, Madam Speaker. Not perfect, but he didn't pitch it the way I like it, which is short or right off the off stump. But we thank him for his contribution, Madam Speaker. Thanks to the Speaker, who has been doing an excellent job in maintaining the order of these proceedings. They don't know how much Jamaica loves you, Madam Speaker. Thanks to the parliamentary staff, to the deputy clerk, to the clerk, marshals, stenographers, and all who work at the Houses of Parliament for your dedication and professionalism. Thanks, Madam Speaker, to the Financial Secretary and the entire staff of the Ministry of Finance. And thanks to my security detail and driver who work as hard as I do. And of course, Madam Speaker, I express thanks to my family for their loving support. And of course, the members of the media who do a fabulous job in covering these debates, thanks to you as well. Madam Speaker, I'll start the debate from the points, a couple of things that we definitely agree on. One was the suggestion by the Leader of the Opposition about the deadline for filing taxes in a financial year. Currently, the deadline is March 15th, and a couple of years ago, definitely before COVID, I had expressed publicly my desire to see that date turned to April, changed to sometime in April, with the financial year remaining the same, April 1st to March 31st. But the deadline for filing would be in April. Madam Speaker, that would provide Jamaica with much greater fiscal certainty, because the filing month is the month of largest tax revenues. And for that to come on the last day or the last month of the tax year, and in the last 2 weeks of the tax year, means that you, whether you like it or not, you take inordinate risks, because you've already, for the 11 months, spent according to the estimates of expenditure. So Jamaica would be much more secure if revenues associated with the end of the year came in end of the financial year.
You just carry that around your neck,
one
right?
financial year.
Just carry that around
the revenues associated with the end of the previous calendar year comes in at the beginning of the next fiscal year. Having made that suggestion a few years ago, the Leader of the Opposition revisited it, and Madam Speaker, it is something that we are still interested in. The challenge with it is that in the first year that you make that move, it would have a significant impact on your revenues, and you would run quite a deficit, because you would take the month with the largest revenue inflows and move it into the next financial year. So this is something that we're in a better position to do when we have reached our goal in terms of our fiscal target goal, and we can make that change, which would make our fiscal trajectory more secure going forward. Madam Speaker, the opposition spokesperson on finance made the suggestion about improving productivity and productivity through transportation of people to work and from work by introducing light rail to Jamaica. Well, Madam Speaker, as we are on this side at pains of pointing out, ideas, there's hardly a unique idea in government with 100 and nearly 200 countries in the world. It's a virtual laboratory of policies that at any point in time can be extended to apply to Jamaica. I certainly have been invited to presentations at the Office of the Prime Minister where PCJ, when it existed, made presentations on light rail coming to Jamaica. The member worked in the ministry in which PCJ was housed. I wouldn't be surprised if he's aware of the thinking that probably applied during their time and has continued into ours. Those who work in that ministry have, on a number of occasions, provided presentations on the possibility of light rail in Jamaica, probably 2 lines at first, a east-west and a north-south. And the Prime Minister has, in receiving those presentations, given directions for further development of those ideas. Development is not at the stage that it could form part of a budget debate presentation, but it's good to know that there is some convergence in that regard. Madam Speaker, it falls to me to address points raised, claims, etc., that are made in the budget debate presentation. And I do so, Madam Speaker. I wish I didn't have to, but the points haven't been made or the claims haven't been made. I'm duty bound to respond. Madam Speaker, when the leader of the opposition made his contribution to the budget debate, he included the words, "When the former speaker was forced to resign as a result of the Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government does not sit well with the tradition that the speaker must act independently of the government of the day." Madam Speaker, as others have pointed out, we on this side, and there are others on the outside who thought that that was low. Firstly, Madam Speaker, the Speaker of the House served as Deputy Speaker of the House for 3 years, between September 2020 and November 2023. And during that time, she acted as Speaker on several occasions. So it was the Deputy Speaker who was elected to replace the outgoing Speaker, not simply the wife. The fact that in the statement or the speech, you refer to her as the wife, not recognizing her 3-year tenure as Deputy Speaker, and therefore the natural successor, is, in my view, disrespectful to the highest degree. Madam Speaker, women, like men, are individuals in their own right who ought not to be defined by their relationship with either men or, in the case of when you do this, you subordinate the professional role of the woman or the man. Wife, mother, sister are roles that women sometimes play, much like men are sometimes husbands, brothers, and fathers. But in a professional setting, it does not sit well with the tradition of respect within our society that has been that for you to refer to any female parliamentary colleague by her marital relationship with her husband. By all means, talk about the Speaker's decisions, criticize them if you must, but leave the wife alone. It was out of order, Madam Speaker, and the opposition leader can do better. It reminds me of when the member from East Portland campaigned in her own right was derogatorily referred to as the wife of Mr. Vaz. And she won't be anything but the wife of Minister Vaz. There's a trend. Of course she's the wife of Minister Vaz. But in the context of the campaign, she was the Jamaica Labour Party candidate for the seat. It would have been better had the opposition leader said the move to replace her with the Deputy Speaker of the House, who happens to be the wife of the Prime Minister, etc., etc., etc. But completely ignoring her position in this House, Madam Speaker, was absolutely and reducing her to only one component, that of wife, was disrespectful, Madam Speaker, and should not be repeated. Madam Speaker, the Deputy Speaker acted, as I said, many times as Speaker for 3 years. And never once, to the best of my knowledge, did any member rise to his or her feet to provide any objection on the account of a marital relationship with the Prime Minister. When the Deputy Speaker was nominated to fill the role of Speaker, her nomination was seconded by none other than the leader of opposition business, the member from East Kingston and Port Royal, Mr. Philip Paulwell, who rose to his feet and said, Madam Speaker, I beg to second the motion. The Speaker was then unanimously elected by both sides of the House with cheers and applause. Madam Speaker, the former leader of the opposition, the member from St. Andrew East Central. No, just for people listening, after people listening don't know East Central, says Mr. Peter Phillips. A few sittings later, without invitation or solicitation, rose to his feet on his own accord and addressed the Speaker directly, looking at her and saying, a major impulse that brought me here today was to see you in your elevated position. Madam Speaker, this was greeted with spontaneous and rapturous applause by both sides, including many on that side who applauded that remark. Madam Speaker, the opposition welcomed the promotion of the Deputy Speaker to Speaker and expressed no issues of principle. Madam Speaker, principle is principle. Principle is not something that changes with the wind. Principle is not something that changes when circumstances get tough. Principles are principles, Madam Speaker. Principle is not something that changes because you disagree. Principle is not something that changes because of political opportunity. Principle is principle. And given that the leader of the government opposition business, his full-throttled endorsement of the Deputy Speaker's elevation, the opposition's leader's statement last week, Madam Speaker, publicly undermines and emasculates the member and sends an unmistakable message that we cannot trust what any of them over there says. Because at any time, the opposition leader is likely at any day, any time, any place to just flip-flop, to contradict and to undermine. Now, look, the opposition leader has a disagreement with the Speaker's position on a specific matter. And I support his right to disagree on a specific matter. But rather than address that matter specifically, he raises an objection in principle to her appointment, despite the opposition having supported that principle in the past. That, Madam Speaker, is what you call unprincipled. It is flip-flop, and it is not leadership that you can trust. And we find it over and over again, Madam Speaker. Even in the same speech, the presentation includes unprincipled positions. Madam Speaker, having met, Madam Speaker, on another matter last year with a few opposition MPs who shall remain nameless on the principle of the salary reform for parliamentarians, I introduced the changes via statement in this House in May of 2023. The member from St. Andrew Southeastern, who is the opposition spokesman of finance, his name is Mr. Julian Robinson. He rose to his feet and he said, in the full view of cameras, publicly, the opposition takes no issue with what the minister has announced. Madam Speaker, without the opposition support,
Good now.
and in this House, Madam Speaker, the public support in this House, as demonstrated by the member from St. Andrew Southeastern, that adjustment for parliamentarians would not have happened, which is why I met with a group of them before, and they know that. And it is the failure, Madam Speaker, wait. It is the failure of opposition and governments of the day in the past. There's a member here in this House who is visiting from a previous administration, and he can tell you that is the failure of opposition and government to agree in the past that stymied previous efforts on parliamentary compensation. Although the opposition member with finance responsibility got up and publicly gave support on behalf of the opposition to my statement outlining the details, days later, Madam Speaker, the opposition of the opposition leader, meaning opposition run by the opposition leader, issues a statement that completely contradicted the support offered by the opposition finance spokesman, undermined him, emasculated him, Madam Speaker, and meant we cannot trust what he says unless Mark is present. Seemingly for political gain. He emasculates his own colleague who he appointed. That is unprincipled, Madam Speaker. That is flip-flop, and that is not leadership that you can trust. It sends, Madam Speaker, the unmistakable message that we cannot trust. We cannot trust what they say. No, this is a big problem, you know. No, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, cannot be trusted. This, Madam Speaker, is a problem. It's a problem for Jamaica. And you know why it's a problem for Jamaica? Because government and opposition have to work together. Sometimes. Yeah? And so the opposition leader contradicting, undermining, and emasculating the very people he has appointed, Madam Speaker, is inimical to constructive working relationship.
Listen.
For example, Madam Speaker, it is customary for the House leader on the government side and the leader of opposition business on that side to get together and to talk about matters concerning the House and how issues are going to be dealt with. And Madam Speaker, in those conversations, they have to make decisions on the fly. They have to agree on the fly, whether it's behind here or it's on the phone. Madam Speaker, the leader of opposition in the House has been in this House for 30 years, including the Senate. 30 years. We have to be able to rely on his word as leader of opposition business. But how can we rely on what he says when the opposition leader forces flip-flop, unprincipled behavior. And he emasculates and undermines his own colleagues, Madam Speaker. It may not be good for their party, but it's certainly not good for Jamaica. And the member from St. Andrews Southeastern, who has responsibility to shadow. He's an opposition spokesman on finance. How can we rely on his word when he's publicly ridiculed, emasculated, and undermined in that way? That is not leadership, Madam Speaker, that anyone can trust. Madam Speaker, the opposition leader can publicly emasculate Philip and Julian. They may not have people to speak up for them, but let me tell you this, don't touch Juliet. Madam Speaker, under this government, even after the worst economic crisis in our history, Jamaica's macroeconomic fundamentals are the strongest they've been for 50 years. And we are leveraging that economic stability in the people's interest. We're entrenching fiscal responsibility by strengthening fiscal rules and birthing a new institution, the Fiscal Commission, to increase the incentives for fiscal sustainability and magnify the disincentives for pursuing a path of fiscal recklessness. We Jamaicans have paid a heavy price for the absence of fiscal responsibility, Madam Speaker. And it's my fervent hope that fiscal responsibility will become not only rooted institutionally, but will be firmly anchored in hearts and minds. Now, Madam Speaker, the opposition leader advances a narrative of rescuing Jamaica in the 2012 to 2016 period to suggest that fiscal responsibility started then. Madam Speaker, I have a lot of respect for former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller, for her work, for her achievements, and for Peter Phillips, the finance minister in her administration. But I do not believe that that justifies a distortion of the facts. It was Prime Minister Bruce Golding and Audley Shaw who had the audacity and the courage to point out that the economic policies of the 1989 to 2007 administration were unsustainable and reckless. Madam Speaker, for periods during that 18-year stretch, just two expenditure items, interest and salaries, exceeded tax revenues. Just imagine that. No garbage truck, no bus, no chalk, no asphalt, no police car, no uniform, nothing for the persons on path, nothing for pensions, just interest and wages alone exceeded tax revenues. That administration, Madam Speaker, put up a chart with the deficits, ran large deficits for 11 consecutive years between 1996-97 and 2006-7. The charts showing the deficits will soon come up. Very large deficits. Madam Speaker, if you look at the deficits here, these are the deficits between 1996-97 and 2006-7. Deficits 5-6% year after year after year. These deficits became unsustainable, and it should not be surprising that it was during this period that represented one of the fastest rises in Jamaica's debt, a 5-fold increase in our debt, or 500%, Madam Speaker, in this 11-year period. From 184 billion, Madam Speaker, in March 1996 to $923 billion in March 2007. The 1989 to 2007 administration. And if you start earlier, there was a 9-fold increase, 950% increase in Jamaica's debt from March of 1992 to March of 2007. 950%, Madam Speaker. From about 90 something billion to 923 billion. So this, Madam Speaker, is the ferocious, torrential, and unsustainable fiscal current that the Bruce Golding administration stepped into. Okay, you have a current that is blowing fast. The pace at which the debt is increasing is 500% in 11 years. That is what they stepped into. And they had the courage, Madam Speaker, to call this out as unsustainable. It was during the period of unsustainable deficits, Madam Speaker, that the prevailing wisdom was ta-ta. That is a disengagement from the IMF and the World Bank and their cheap financing along with their sustainable policy prescriptions in favor of expensive financing from capital markets. It was Bruce Golding and Audley Shaw who saw that ta-ta and 500% increases in debt over 11 years was destroying Jamaica. And they led the process to re-engage, Madam Speaker, with the IMF and the World Bank. The era of fiscal responsibility started with them. You'll see. You'll see. Madam Speaker, it was in the Golding administration that the government, which lost $1 billion in Air Jamaica, was sold, releasing the Jamaican people from this major source of debt escalation. It was during this period the Sugar Company of Jamaica was sold, releasing another major contributor to debt escalation. It was in this period that the Financial Audit and Administration Act was significantly amended as part of a broader financial reform effort. And these reforms were aimed at improving fiscal responsibility. It was during this period that fiscal rules were introduced to Jamaica for the first time, Madam Speaker. There was fiscal disrule before then. For the first time, Madam Speaker, the tax expenditure statement was submitted to Parliament and has since become an annual practice and now a legislative requirement. They implemented the first debt exchange to address unsustainability of debt. Now, faced with what was then the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the fiscal accounts worsened. Yeah? But the pace of debt accumulation slowed considerably. From an approximate 1,000% increase in debt over the PNP administration, the debt grew by approximately 70% over 4 years. So we went from a pace of 1,000% over 18 years and 500% over 11 years. You can do the math, 500 divided by 11, okay, to one where the debt moved now by 70% over 4 years. Okay, so when you, with this torrential cascading of fiscal unsustainability, that's something that just stops overnight. What you have to do first is to slow the pace of debt accumulation, and they achieved that from a 1,000% over 18 years, 500% over 11 years, and then 70% over 4 years. Yeah. So the deficits continued under them. They continued, and during the worst part of the crisis, the deficit got really large, but the debt accumulation slowed. So you look at this chart, Madam Speaker, and you look at debt accumulation across different periods. You'll see from April 1992 to March 2008, and I use the end of the fiscal year, even though governments change in between. There was a 952% increase in the debt accumulation during that period of time. That is unmistakable fact. Nothing they say can change that. Nothing. And then you look at the next period, Madam Speaker, which is the period April 2008 to March 2012. The debt accumulation dropped from 952% to 66%. Yeah? And then under the Portia Simpson administration, it dropped even further to 24%. And then under us, it has dropped even further to 6%, Madam Speaker, over 7 years.
I remember that very well.
All right? So if you look at this graph and you ask, when did fiscal responsibility begin? When did we begin to get a hold of the runaway debt situation that we had in Jamaica? It's unmistakable. Unmistakable. We have been fed a narrative, Madam Speaker, that is misleading. Of course the program failed. It failed. Absolutely it did. It failed. However, Madam Speaker, it didn't fail because fiscal responsibility was absent. It failed, Madam Speaker, because there wasn't the social consensus in the society for fiscal responsibility.
Members, the minister's time for speaking has expired. House Leader.
Madam Speaker, the member's time having been expired, I beg to move that the speaker's time be extended sufficiently to allow him to complete his presentation. May it please
The
you.
question is that the minister be allowed. The question is that the minister be allowed sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Minister?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the House. So we've been fed this narrative, Madam Speaker, which is based on a fact that the IMF agreement did collapse. But it did not collapse because the government didn't have fiscal responsibility. Yeah. It collapsed because fiscal responsibility, there was not a social consensus in the society at that point about the need for fiscal responsibility. And as a result, unions, the agreements that the unions were prepared to accept, breached the terms of the agreement. But it's unmistakable that by switching from the fiscal policy of the prior period, 1989 all the way to 2007, and engaging the multilaterals, Jamaica was able to slow down immensely the accumulation of debt, Madam Speaker. And that is the true measurement, ultimately, of fiscal responsibility. Now, my position, Madam Speaker, is that it's not that there was not a difference between 2007 and 11 and 2012 and 2016. I'm not saying there wasn't a difference. But what I'm saying is the difference was not around the policy of fiscal responsibility of government. Madam Speaker, the difference is that the social conditions were entirely different, and they were entirely different in large part, Madam Speaker, because Prime Minister Holness had the honesty and the courage in 2011 to tell Jamaicans the truth about the need for fiscal discipline. I was there, I was with him. I visited the IMF with him in October of 2011. And he came back determined to tell the Jamaican people the truth. And he went. It may not have been the most politically elegant way of expressing it, but it was the truth. And so what you had happening, Madam Speaker, is that an outgoing government had lost on the platform of promising fiscal discipline, and an incoming government that had no choice but to implement it. And Jamaica never had a better chance. No, it's fact. Fact. Madam Speaker, to the credit of the 2012 to 2016 administration, they made use of that chance. But to this day, I cannot understand that if fiscal responsibility is your thing, and it's been such a great achievement, why campaign on someone's house? If you embrace it and believe it, why didn't you speak it? Huh? Madam Speaker, they did not speak it because fiscal responsibility is not core to who they are. Madam Speaker, the facts are that in the 2012 to 2016 period, the administration found itself in a position where there were no other options. The time came for Tata. Time came for run with it. And they found themselves in a deeply intrusive extended fund facility arrangement from 2013 onwards, where they had to do as they were told. So yes, the IMF is fiscally responsible, and individuals in that cabinet may have a claim to being fiscally responsible, Madam Speaker, but the PNP cannot claim to be fiscally responsible, as history will show that the PNP government has never been fiscally responsible when they have a choice. Madam Speaker, examine the record from 1972 to 1980, and examine the record from 1989 to 2007, when they had choice. Fiscal responsibility is not determined by when you have no choice and your hands are tied. Implementing fiscal responsible policies when you have no choice in the matter and your hands are tied is not a demonstration of fiscal responsibility. Jamaica ran out of options, and they were under the watchful eye of the IMF, thank God, and individuals did good work during that time. But there was no choice in the matter. Under this government, we have had choice. We graduated from an IMF program in 2019. We went through COVID on our own steam with homegrown policies, homegrown ideas. We displayed fiscal responsibility before the crisis, during the crisis, after the crisis, leading Jamaica to one of the fastest, most complete recoveries in the Western Hemisphere. We piloted Jamaica through the worst economic storms in our history, Madam Speaker, on our own. That is fiscal responsibility. You demonstrate fiscal responsibility when you have choice, when you have lots of choice, and you still decide to do the responsible thing. So don't come here and tell anyone about fiscal responsibility when your party has never exhibited it, when it had the privilege of choice. The only thing you can point to is when you were locked into a vice made by 18 years of fiscal recklessness and you had no choice whatsoever, and thank God you had to implement. And Madam Speaker, I want you to understand what my argument. Nothing takes away from the individual effort and achievement during that period. There was remarkable individual effort. I am saying that institutionally, the party that formed the government, Madam Speaker, has not to date, during a period that they were in government and they had choice, demonstrated with that choice fiscal responsibility. That is undeniable and incontrovertible. We demonstrate fiscal responsibility of our own free will, and we're not afraid to talk to people about it. It requires a commitment to principle, which does not change when the sun is out or when it rains. Principle is principle. With that kind of leadership, Madam Speaker, that they have demonstrated, emasculation of senior people and flip-flops and U-turns, you cannot trust them, because when it gets difficult and the pressure mounts and the NEC start to bark, they will turn on any principle. Even today, Madam Speaker, we have funding from the Resilience and Sustainability Fund of the IMF. But due to the performance of Jamaica, we have policy freedom, and we still choose to be fiscally responsible. Now, Madam Speaker, while I'm on this point, I want to just clear up a piece of misinformation that's often in the public domain. When the then opposition leader, Portia Simpson Miller, famously told Jamaica that she'd have concluded an IMF agreement in 2 weeks, well, we know it took 40 times as long. Now, Madam Speaker, at the end of the Bruce Golding administration, Jamaica had $2 billion in foreign exchange reserves. But it took time to conclude a follow-up agreement with the fund. And by November 2013, Jamaica's foreign exchange reserves had dwindled to 835 million US dollars. They like to misremember this. And if you look at what they tweet and so on, they believe that administration started with 835 million US dollars. Nothing no go so at all. That the Portia Simpson administration started with $2 billion US dollars in net international reserves, and they ended with $2.2 billion in net international reserves. And approximately 1 billion of it, or half, was represented by borrowed reserves or certificates of deposits or CDs. Madam Speaker, we took the baton with $2.2 billion of reserves, and now there are $4.7 billion of reserves. And CDs have been reduced dramatically to only $85 million. That's all? Out of the 4.7. Madam Speaker, there was a time that the three words, the screens, there was a time, Madam Speaker, that the three words that would confuse the opposition were Jamaica Labour Party. Madam Speaker, over the last 7 years, something else that now confuses the opposition, Madam Speaker, is no new taxes. If you don't believe me, look at their faces when I say it again. No new taxes for 7 consecutive years. Madam Speaker, it makes them delirious because of Jamaica's economic history. They know the potency of that. So it makes them talk all kind of things that are not true, and things sometimes that don't make any sense. Madam Speaker, I want you to pay attention to me in particular here. The opposition leader in his presentation puts up a chart, Madam Speaker, that purports to show revenue growth over the period of this government. This is the chart he puts up. And Madam Speaker, I don't know any other way to say it other than I have not seen a more deceptive chart in this house than this. Madam Speaker, he shows 2015-16. He does not show 2016-17. He does not show 2017-18. He does not show 2018-19. Nor 2019-20. And he certainly does not show 2020-21. Wait, Madam Speaker, when was COVID again? When was COVID? What year? 2020? So he's showing a chart of revenues of this administration that deliberately leaves out the COVID year and the years after. And then he shows 21, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24 projections, Madam Speaker. It's like he's playing peekaboo. Peekaboo. That's a chart there. Him show 2015-16, leave out all of the other years, and him playing peekaboo. 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 The first question, Madam Speaker, is why would he do this? Why would he do it? Why would he hide the period 2016-17 to 2020-21? Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Red card, Madam Speaker, for him. Red card. He then says, Madam Speaker, that revenues have doubled Madam Speaker, and that I would say over 9 years, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that the point? That revenue is going up in an environment of no new taxes? Madam Speaker, there is no PNP government that has presided over Jamaica with a 9-year stretch of continuously increasing tax revenues in real terms without the imposition of any new taxes. They're simply confused, and in their confusion present charts that skip over years and are therefore deceptive, Madam Speaker. The average annual rate of, I'm going to show you, the average annual rate of increases in tax revenues over the entire period, Madam Speaker, is 9.4% per annum. That's the compounded annual increase in tax revenues over the period budgeted for 24-25, going all the way back to actual 2015-2016. Yeah? What happened, Madam Speaker, and what the opposition leader, this, in my view, I think is deceptively excludes, it's disingenuous. He excludes the COVID contraction in revenues, Madam Speaker, and in the revenues declined by 13% or $73 billion, and the recovery, Madam Speaker, the recovery from that low, no, go back to the chart, please. The recovery from that low, Madam Speaker, has been accelerated as compared to the trend. So when you look at the revenue growth the year after COVID versus the COVID year, it went up by 22%. Yeah. But in that year, when you compare it to the year before COVID, it was just 6%. But he shows the 22%, doesn't show the decline, and makes a meal of it, thinking that nobody is going to find him out. Red card, Madam Speaker. Red card. So let's go back to the table as it should have been. We're not afraid to hide anything. Show the whole thing. Don't cover it up playing peekaboo. That is what it looks like, Madam Speaker. And what you'll see is that in the last year of their administration, tax revenues went up by 11%. And in 16-17, it went up by 11% for us too. And then 8% the year after, and 9% the year after, and 7% the year after. So when there was recovery to get back up to where you were, of course there's going to be an accelerated growth, Madam Speaker. He shows the accelerated growth alone, as if to suggest that that characterizes the entire period. Madam Speaker, that is nothing short of utter deception. And Madam Speaker, to compound that deception, Madam Speaker, move to the next chart if you can. over prior year. And you look at the 4 rows in blue, 110 billion, 136, 103, 68. He adds those up and says 400 billion of tax increases in the last 4 years. Now, what does 110 relate to? 110 is the increase from the COVID year when revenue sank from 579 billion to 505 billion, an increase of 110. So, Madam Speaker, what we experienced is a recovery, Madam Speaker, that was above the mean rate, but the average rate of growth over the 9-year period, Madam Speaker, is 9%. Now, thank God our revenues recovered. Thank God, or else we could not have allocated $200 billion to public sector compensation. We could not be doing the Spark program. We could not be buying 100 JTC buses. We could not be doing 50 garbage trucks. We could not be giving income tax breaks. We could not be raising the pension exemption or the age exemption. We could not be implementing a reverse income tax credit. Madam Speaker, we could not do any of those things without revenue.
Revenue matters.
Madam Speaker, gaslighting is an insidious form of manipulation. Yes. Victims of gaslighting are deliberately and systematically fed false or incomplete information that leads them to question what they know to be true. They may end up doubting their memory, their perception, or even their sanity. Madam Speaker, the commentary on a table that omits, that starts to talk about revenues for under this government and omits critical information of COVID and the years before, Madam Speaker, represents gaslighting by misleading the public into thinking there's something going on with over-the-top revenue, when in fact it is good news. It is entirely explainable, and he needs to omit relevant information to present a distorted picture. Madam Speaker, the opposition leader advances the false argument that revenue increases are a result of indirect taxation. Clearly, he is forgetting that it's this administration that reduced GCT by 1.5 percentage points.
Bring it from 16.
Revenue increases, Madam Speaker, are a result of increased economic activity. Them just winging it, Madam Speaker. Them not understand. Jamaica's fiscal data is publicly available. Madam Speaker, when you look at the growth in personal income tax, revenue, though we raised the threshold substantially to 1.5 million, income tax revenue has grown from $190 billion in 2015-16. Sorry, grown by a total of $190 billion, or 145% cumulatively, or a compounded annual rate of 10.5%, Madam Speaker. You hear what I just said? Income tax revenue has grown over that period by $190 billion. Faster than the average growth rate of revenues. It has outpaced revenue growth. In addition, Madam Speaker, or not in addition, just remind you that revenues have increased substantially as unemployment declined from 13% to 4%. And we had, under this administration, 30 quarters of economic growth. Broken by COVID, yeah, but you add up the two periods, 20 and 30 quarters of economic growth. Man, if it's not occurred to you, there is no administration in 50 years that has presided over collectively 30 quarters of economic growth, Madam Speaker. Now, what do you think happens in such an environment? Income tax revenues increase. As at 2022, there were 200,000 more cars on the road compared to 2016. Education tax revenue similarly increased by 152% over the period, or $32 billion, for a compounded annual increase of 10.8% per annum, outpacing overall revenue growth. Madam Speaker, under our Minister of Tourism, travel tax is up. It's up by 236% over that period. That's an average annual compounded growth of 14.4% and represents $24 billion more in revenue than in 2015-16. And one that nobody has been paying attention to is that tax revenue from betting, gaming, and lotteries has increased by 313% over the same period, Madam Speaker, or an average annual compounded rate of 17%, delivering almost $9 billion more into government coffers than in 2015-16. So, Madam Speaker, when you add those 4 line items of revenue alone, income tax, education tax, travel tax, they account for $255 billion, or more than 50% of the revenue growth experience. And the growth in those items exceeds the growth in GCT and special consumption tax. In fact, GCT and special consumption tax grew at slower compounded annual rates of growth. And in the case of special consumption tax, it grew at a rate that is slower than the average growth. So they just have it in their brain, but they don't bother to do the analysis. Don't bother to look at the data. They just talk from the hip. And because he's a big man in society, Tapanaris, and believes they just accept it. Red card for that attitude.
Red card.
Red card for that attitude. Then give me the red card. Red card. Red card. Red card. Red card. Red card. Right? Coming up here and expect that because of Mr. Panaris, we're going to believe what he said. See the table there? See the data there? Everybody can see it for themselves. Madam Speaker, the opposition leader ludicrously and misleadingly states that tax revenue of the population increased.
This is just, you know.
Well, from 190,000 per person to 340,000 per person.
Huh?
Madam Speaker,
I think people like that.
since this
Red
government
card.
came to office, hear me out on this. Hear me on this.
Yes.
Hear me out talking that tax revenue per person has gone from 190,000 to 340,000. Him now watch what we're going on now. Him just a wing it. Madam Speaker, under this government, since this government came to office, the economy has doubled in size.
Aye! Double in size, meaning more revenue.
And it's on that chart from $1.688 trillion to $3.289 trillion. Now, if there's no new tax and the economy double, then tax revenue must double too. Who is he really trying to fool?
Give us red card.
This aspect of his presentation shows contempt, Madam Speaker, for the Jamaican people, with these deceptive claims advanced by leaving information out. Under this government, the average economic output of every Jamaican has nearly doubled from approximately $614,936 to $1,198,470, Madam Speaker, by March of 2025.
Friends, girl, come watch the presentation with
So
me.
again, I say, even with no new
watch
tax,
this and listen to this presentation.
tax revenues per person
Come
doubles along with the doubling
Friends,
of
girl, come watch it
economic
with me,
output per person.
Come listen to this presentation with me. This guy I get him red card. How you doing, Renz?
No, Madam Speaker.
Renz, what's up? What's up, mama?
Let me just talk about tax revenues as a percentage
Red
of GDP.
card that issue tonight. Red card.
Let me begin this section, Madam Speaker, by just a definition of tax expenditure.
Red card, pay boy. Too wicked.
Tax expenditures, Madam Speaker, are defined in our tax expenditure statements as any revenue loss that occurs as a result of specific provisions that lead to a reduction in tax payable by a specific tax type, taxpayer activity. The Tax Policy Center defines tax expenditures as special provisions of the tax code such as exclusions, deductions, deferrals, and credits that benefit specific activities or groups of taxpayers. All right? So tax expenditures are legitimate,
and
but they are
teach them,
expenditures that
Nigel.
reduce tax revenue. The opposition
I
in this
just love it
presentation
when they beat
included
them and teach them.
the fact that tax revenues as a percentage of
Hypocrites.
GDP moved from
What's up,
24%
CJ?
in 2015-16
So we're
and is
live on
projected to
TikTok,
be
we're live on
28%
Facebook, we're live
by
on TikTok.
2024-25. And tax expenditures are
They're all over.
pertinent to the explanation of this observation. So every year, Madam Speaker, since 2011, I'd like to deny that anything happened. Since 2011, the
Right now,
government
you need to miss
publishes
next
a
parliament.
tax
Chuck
expenditure
Finley.
statement.
Well, go
And
on,
it's not-
General.
It's a very hard document to understand. Yeah, so it does not necessarily kind of see the light of day. Tax expenditure statement. And the explanations for this observation are threefold. And I'll just deal with the first two in this presentation.
Yes.
The first is that tax compliance has increased,
Renz, let me go get a
which
cup
is
of coffee,
great,
Renz.
meaning that we collect more
I'm gonna
of
be
what
here
is on the
for a
books.
while. I need
The
to.
second reason, Madam Speaker,
again.
is that tax
I watched it
exemptions
live
have
the other day.
largely been codified
We have to watch it
and put
again.
into law.
We have to
There's
see.
increased transparency and predictability about
No,
tax
no, big up
exemptions.
yourself, big up yourself.
And in
big up
terms of tax
Anthony.
exemptions,
Chuck
everyone
Finley.
knows what they
Cuba.
can get and what they cannot.
Althea,
Madam Speaker, we have been very judicious with tax
Big
expenditures.
up yourself.
Tax
Welcome,
waivers
y'all.
over the past 9
Welcome.
years have been limited
We
to
are
no
just
more than 10 million per month.
revisiting
And long
the
may this
budget
continue.
presentation by Dr. Nigel
As such,
Clarke.
Madam Speaker, tax expenditures
And the
which would
issuing
normally
of
reduce tax revenue
Red
do
cards,
not have as
Red
ample
cards.
an opportunity
red
as would have
cards,
existed
and more
in the
red
past.
cards.
Now, I have a chart on the tax expenditures for you to understand what I'm saying. This here, Madam Speaker, is the tax
Jennifer here
expenditures
on
of Jamaica
says
from 2008 to 2022.
we can highlight some of the
2023 is not yet available.
Curtis
The year is not
Slackwood here says
And
stop
what
on
you'll
Norris.
see is that in
What
the
a red
past,
card.
tax expenditures as a percentage of
Uh,
GDP were 4%, 5%, 6%. That represents, and in 2013, it
comments
peaked
over
at
there.
8%. That represents
My
revenue
friends
that's on the
TikTok,
books,
please
but
hop
that we
over to
give
our
away through
YouTube
deductions and
channel,
exemptions and
Chop
credits
Media,
and waivers.
and hit that follow button.
And
Follow us.
a
We
big
need
part
to
of
bring
our
that
reform
page up to
has
1,000.
been to
Tonight,
codify
tonight.
these
We
as much
gotta
as
do that
possible
tonight.
and to
We have to
reduce
do that
them.
tonight.
And as far as discretionary
Right,
tax
Renz?
waivers are concerned,
Just send them
we
folks
have
over
had a
there.
policy
Over
of
to
no
YouTube.
more than
Chops
10 million
Media
per month
at YouTube.
over the past 9 years.
Follow
I
that
believe
channel
discretionary tax
and
waivers were
press the
similarly limited
notification bell.
under the EFF program.
This Sunday, folks.
So, Madam Speaker,
This
what
Sunday
happened is
is going
that
to be a big
tax
Sunday. We're going to have
expenditures, if you were to compare the period that was put in the
two
chart,
ministers on.
decreased
And
from
I think we're gonna
3.9%
have,
to 2.47% over the period 2015 to 2022.
Either Matthew
And when you
or
add those back and you look at tax revenue before
we
tax
are going to
expenditures,
be
what you find is that the
we are going to
variation,
be
Madam
discussing
Speaker,
the budget, of course.
is not what
All the
it
goodies
seems
that
to
came
be.
out of the budget. We're going to
It's
look at,
much
for
more
example,
stable. What explains the differential
the
is,
pension
Madam Speaker, that we
increase.
are allowing
We're
far
gonna also
fewer
look
tax
at the
expenditures today than were allowed in the past. So
unemployment
when you adjust
insurance
for tax
that's coming.
expenditures, you realize that
We're
tax
looking
revenue
at the-
before tax expenditures was 28.3% in 2015-16. Yeah? 21, 22, 28.9%. 22, 23, 29.8. There is still
Sunday
a
at
movement,
8 o'clock,
but
Craig.
not a movement as
8 o'clock.
significant
8 o'clock,
as,
Craig. 8 o'clock. Donald.
as would
Next
exist
election, we are going
if
to give.
it did not show the tax expenditure.
We'll give the last red card at the next election.
Yes, so
All right.
I'm adding, but
I
the
think
tax
you need to be
expenditure
some
statement is
action.
also
Get a red
submitted.
card.
This one I'm not claiming that you're deceiving. This one you picked up. I'm not claiming that. This one, we have tax expenditure statements, Madam Speaker, and the tax expenditure statements show, Madam Speaker, that when you look at our tax revenues as a proportion of GDP before tax expenditures, it is much more even. What is happening is that the government, more of the revenues on the books is coming to the government, and we are not giving away. And who benefits from tax? Well, a lot. Yeah, it's usually, businesses. Right? So this is in the interest of the people that tax expenditures have been declining over time, and I hope that can continue, even though you do something like Harmony Coal, tax expenditures are going to go up. Yeah, but again, we will totally be transparent on that when that time comes. Madam Speaker, in May 2023, the Leader of the Opposition declared that Jamaica's income tax threshold should be increased by 40% to 2.1 million. No numbers, no analysis, no costing. 4 months later, in September 2023, 4 months later, he changes his mind, flip-flop again, calling instead for a 100% increase in the income tax threshold. Again, no numbers, no analysis, no costing. Them just a wing it, Madam Speaker, unprincipled positions, shifting in the wind, flip-flop, flip-flop. The whole country waited to hear how Mr. Golding would finance this. Commentators were public with their expectation that Mr. Golding would outline how he would finance the doubling of the threshold. Headlines of the newspapers and the media houses, commentators, government, Golding must outline 3 million income tax threshold plan in budget presentation. And commentators specifically who are named and I won't name here, called for that. High expectations for Golding's speech. Why? Because everybody want to hear how he proposed to finance it. And then even the junior spokesperson on finance, Madam Speaker, came on radio and said that the Leader of the Opposition would outline his funding proposal in the contribution to the budget debate. So again, he has made one of his own lose credibility. So who's going to believe him again? Madam Speaker, that is what happens when you have an opposition that makes a habit of unprincipled positions. The expectations of them will always lead to disappointment. Because, Madam Speaker, when I explained that this move would cost nearly over $45 billion, all you could hear was silence. Mouth zip, not a peep. The opposition leader spoke for 2 hours and not one word about how he would fund an increase in the income tax threshold that cost over $45 billion. It seems to be the case, Madam Speaker, it seemed to me and to a reasonable person that this was a cynical ploy to get the attention of Jamaicans without any idea about how to sustainably finance it. They did not even know the cost.
And I'll tell you in a minute. I'm sorry, Madam Speaker, the member is trying to mislead the House about the motive of the Leader of Opposition, and he has no such authority.
Minister, it would appear, Minister, it would appear you may continue.
Just for the record, Madam Speaker, I said it seems to be the case. Okay? They don't even know the cost. Just winging it. Unprincipled, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, they cannot be trusted, Madam Speaker. Red card. Red card. Madam Speaker, we propose to increase the income tax threshold to $1.7 million from $1.5 million, which will deliver 50,000 more per year to Jamaicans who earn more than 1.5 million. We also introduced for the very first time a reverse income tax credit. Madam Speaker, the ministry paper table included that this is designed to increase compliance. Undoubtedly, the government providing a cash give back to registered taxpayers will incentivize greater formalization over the medium term. However, that is not the only aim and certainly not the primary intention of the reverse income tax credit. As such, Madam Speaker, there's nothing in my speech about compliance or about increasing compliance. The words in my speech make it abundantly clear that the intention of the government is that the reverse income tax credit is a fiscal response to prevailing social and economic conditions, particularly for those on the lower end of the income threshold. Madam Speaker, in an income tax system, the taxpayer pays money to the state, and we make such a system progressive by having rates of income tax that increase with income, and by establishing an income tax threshold below which no tax is paid at all. Madam Speaker, negative income tax is even more progressive by reversing the direction in which tax is paid for incomes below a certain level. Earners above that level pay money to the state, while earners below receive money from the state. Now, reverse income tax credit is not negative income tax, but it is designed in that spirit as a one-off measure. We have set the threshold at 3 million because we wanted persons who are just above the current income tax threshold to also benefit. However, Madam Speaker, so those between 1.5 and 3 million, rather than just getting a 50,000 uplift this year, they'll get the 50,000 plus the 20,000, which is a 70,000 uplift for the year. However, Madam Speaker, the reverse income tax credit targeted at those within the income bracket for 2023 for whom statutory contributions are deducted or who pay statutory deductions themselves. It is only fair, Madam Speaker, that a benefit such as this goes to those who are contributing to the system from monthly deductions that are made, from monthly deductions or other kinds of deductions, or if they pay it themselves. This is fair because they are at a financial disadvantage as compared to those who are not contributing and take home less than those who are outside the system who are earning similar amounts. Yes, it is true that some people are not formalized due to no fault of their own. Their employers neither deduct nor pay over statutory deductions. Well, those persons have a higher net income than others who perform similar functions from whom deductions are made. That is, for most of these persons, by not having statutory contributions deducted, they're better off by more than the value of the reverse income tax threshold, given the aggregate consolidated percentage represented by statutory deductions. So, Madam Speaker, the primary beneficiaries will be those who earn below the income tax threshold, and in particular, Jamaicans earning close to minimum wage who are contributing to the Jamaican system through statutory deductions from their paycheck. Madam Speaker, there are approximately 570,000 Jamaicans already who earn less than 3 million in 2023 and who contributed to the system through deductions of education tax, NHT, and NIS. These are the persons who will qualify for the reverse income tax credit, and anyone else regularized before the end of the fiscal year. And there are 450,000 approximately persons who earn less than 1.5 million who contribute to the system through a deduction of education tax, NHT, and NIS. Madam Speaker, this includes many security guards, room attendants, factory floor workers, machine operators, cooks, waitresses in restaurants, office attendants, messengers, janitors, drivers, sanitation workers, street cleaners, maintenance staff, who toil every day, who contribute to the Jamaican system through statutory deductions. Madam Speaker, the reverse income tax credit is intended for the mass of working people who make this country work and contribute to the Jamaican system through monthly or regular statutory deductions. We are leveraging economic stability to their benefit. Now, Madam Speaker, I heard opposition leaders cynically suggest that the $11.4 billion that is being used to finance the one-off reverse income tax credit ought to be diverted towards those earning above the income tax threshold, and by so doing, increase the income tax threshold further. Madam Speaker, I was shocked to hear that. I was absolutely shocked to hear that. Madam Speaker, we are directing a benefit of $11.4 billion to persons who earn at the lower end of the income spectrum, including hundreds of thousands of hardworking Jamaicans who earn at minimum wage or just above minimum wage, and who contribute to ed tax, NIS, and NHT. Are you suggesting taking away from them and giving to higher income earners?
Yes, that's what PNP suggesting.
Madam Speaker, when you, increased income
That's what
tax
they are.
threshold.
PNP,
Everyone above the
you
threshold
are a
benefits.
bunch of dunce.
Those making 10 million, those making 20 million, those making 30 million. So the
I don't care if
effect
you know
of
of it.
of the
Dunce.
opposition leader's suggestion
Stupid.
would be to take away
Ignorant,
the
dishonest.
$20,000 reverse income tax credit from the hundreds of thousands of minimum wage earners and those just above who are among the 570,000
Come.
and give it to the 70,000 Jamaicans earning above 3 million. Madam Speaker, that is a red card.
Red card again. Yeah, I'm done.
That is an approach, Madam Speaker, that we call champagne socialists. And that is what you get, Madam Speaker, from an unprincipled, cynical, flip-flop approach to policymaking. Not only would that suggestion be regressive, the opposite of progressive, it would also be fiscally questionable, given that the source of funding for the one-off reverse income tax credit is non-recurring. Madam Speaker, in 2012, Jamaica was in terrible fiscal shape and needed to raise a lot of revenue.
Yes.
And as I've said, Madam Speaker, the individuals, the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, under tough circumstances, in my view as individuals, did a great job. Okay? Great job as individuals. What I doubt is the institutional capacity for that to be replicated when there are no guardrails, when there is choice. Madam Speaker, the Porsche-Simpson-Miller administration,
you're gonna run with it.
because we were in, levied a tax package on May 24th, 2012, to be effective June 1st, 2012, which was designed to raise $19 billion for the 2012-13 fiscal year,
Last comrades out there.
and which, when annualized on a 12-month basis, was a $23 billion tax package, representing 1.8% of GDP at the time.
Ignorance.
Massive tax package.
Dopey.
Included in that tax package was a broadening of the GCT base to include the application of GCT to raw foods, excluding chicken. There was some protest on aspects of the measure. On June 6, 2012, the then government tabled revised revenue measures that, among other changes, amended the application of GCT to raw foods by providing an exemption for domestic raw foods. You understand what happened? So what happened is the government needed to raise revenues in 2012. They came with that tax package, $23 billion annualized, 1.8% of GDP, and included in that tax package was a broadening of the GCT net to include raw foods. There was some protest or representation, and the government in June of that year came back and revised it and took it off of, in other words, left the domestic as it was before. So prior to June of 2012, domestic raw foods and foreign raw foods were equally treated with respect to GCT. Neither category of goods attracted GCT. Now, we got into this position of a lopsided imbalance in the application of GCT on raw foods because of the need for revenue, not protection. Now, Madam Speaker, the imposition of GCT on foreign produced raw foods, but not local produced raw foods, violated binding trade agreements to which Jamaica is a party. It's not a gray area. It is black and white. Madam Speaker, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, is a multilateral, legally binding agreement that regulates trade among more than 153 countries in the world. By now, it might be 160. I don't have the exact number. It was entered into 1947, and Jamaica became a contracting party of the GATT on March 9th of 1963. Jamaica's accession to the GATT was part of Jamaica's broader efforts to integrate into the global economy and foster economic development through trade. And the GATT was later replaced in 1995 by the WTO of which Jamaica is also a member. Now, Madam Speaker, Article 3 of the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade, which anybody can read on the internet. Article 3 of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade addresses national treatment of internal taxation regulation. It is very clear, Madam Speaker, that the agreement, which is binding on Jamaica, forbids the application of GCT on foreign produced goods in a specific category, while not also applying GCT to locally produced goods in the same category. Here is an example, here's an excerpt of Article 3, Madam Speaker. And it's in my speech. I won't necessarily read it into the record here, but persons can look at it online. But it basically says the contracting parties recognize that internal taxes and other internal charges, laws, regulations, and requirements affecting the internal sale, offering for sale, purchase, transportation, distribution, or use of products, and internal quantitative regulations, should not be applied to imported domestic products so as to afford protection to domestic production. The products of the territory of any contracting party imported into the territory of any other contracting party shall not be subject directly or indirectly to internal taxes or other internal charges of any kind in excess of those applied directly or indirectly to like domestic products. Moreover, no contracting party shall otherwise apply internal taxes or other internal charges to imported or domestic products in a manner contrary to the principles set forth. Now, Madam Speaker, we didn't sign that agreement. We never wrote that law, but we have an obligation when it is pointed out to us to abide by international law. This is not debatable or up for negotiation. It is a crystally clear provision. GCT is an internal tax, and it is against international trade law for it to be applied on foreign produced goods, but not to local goods of the same kind. The other side likes to talk about observing the law and about observing international law. How many times have we heard them talk about that? Huh? Observing international law. But, Madam Speaker, again, these days they operate without principle, flip-flop, changing when the wind suits or when it seems politically expedient, Madam Speaker. This is another example of an unprincipled approach. And, Madam Speaker, the opposition leader asks, whose bidding am I doing? Madam Speaker, is out of order. I am upholding the rule of law and having Jamaica honor our international, legal, binding obligation. So, Madam Speaker, Jamaica needed the revenue. Jamaica, if you listen, you will learn about this, okay? Madam Speaker, Jamaica needed the revenue in 2012, and so presumably, I'm not saying it is so, I mean, presumably, the decision was made on the basis of, kind of catch me if you can, right? In 2012. Well, Madam Speaker, Jamaica indeed was caught. First by CARICOM. CARICOM got wind of this breach of international law and wrote to Jamaica demanding that changes be made so that its members were not subject to unfair trade practices. Madam Speaker, Jamaica quickly complied. No, okay. Trust me on this, okay? Jamaica quickly complied. And the Portia Simpson Miller administration changed the law in 2014 to ensure that foreign raw goods produced in CARICOM member states were exempt from GCT, Madam Speaker. That was in 2014. So they were caught by CARICOM. Fast forward, Madam Speaker, to 2023. Jamaica representatives of the World Trade Organization visited Jamaica in November of 2023 for a customary for a customary scheduled review of our trade regime. And Madam Speaker, they saw this breach and brought it to the attention of the current administration. Madam Speaker, in the same way that when CARICOM pointed out the breach in 2014, GCT was promptly removed from imported raw foods originated in CARICOM. It is the same way that the WTO, having pointed it out, Madam Speaker, we're obligated to address it. And there are only two options to address this breach. Either we apply GCT to locally produced raw foods, or we remove it from imported raw foods. And we chose the more palatable option at this time because of removing GCT from raw foods. For good measure, Madam Speaker, I have Mr. Speaker, I have noted the suggestions about negotiations. I've noted the suggestions about negotiations. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, you guys are wrong and strong on this. Strong and wrong. You're strong and wrong. Madam Speaker, this is a black and white issue that violates a founding principle of GATT, Mr. Speaker, signed by 153 countries. It's not a negotiable provision. It's not a negotiable provision. The GCT is not a negotiable provision. I will talk about what is negotiable, but not the GCT. Okay? Now, I use the term blacklisted, Madam Speaker, as a term to mean sanctioned by the international community. There's no literal blacklist for breach of international money laundering or tax obligations. What I meant, Madam Speaker, is that, and as I said, Jamaica would be exposed to trade sanctions from other WTO members. So, Madam Speaker, let's talk about protection. Let's talk about protection and negotiation. Madam Speaker, the differential treatment in the application of GCT on raw foods. Hear me out. The differential treatment in the application of GCT on raw foods did not begin in 1991 and did not exist for 21 years after. There's no differential. They were treated on the same grounds. Right? It's only in the past 12 years where, due to the need for revenues from a deep fiscal crisis, that Jamaica ended up flouting international law with respect to the non-uniform application of GCT. Now, Madam Speaker, member states of the WTO have the opportunity to apply, like Jamaica, to apply duties and additional stamp duties, provided that the maximum duties that could be applicable are published in the WTO schedule. Okay, so how the WTO works, Madam Speaker, every country, Mr. Speaker, every country has to submit the maximum duties that it can charge. And that was done for Jamaica sometime.
I'm going to hit that pause button for a moment because I have my folks over on YouTube, folks over on X. We are on the X platform as well, guys. We have, matter of fact, the majority of persons who are watching us right now, they're watching us on the X platform. So we are on Chops Media on YouTube. We're on the Chopping Block on Facebook. And we are coming to you live on the Speak You Mind Jamaica platform as well. So we are diversifying where you can find us. But let me just remove this one real quick. Boom. Yeah, so we are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. Sorry, not on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube and we are on X. And of course, my friends over here on TikTok, we are here as well. We are reviewing again, watching together with you all, the presentation from Dr. Nigel Clarke, which was last Thursday. Here saying that it's perhaps one of the best budget presentation I have seen, certainly in a long time. And we have to continue to play this presentation over and over again. Tomorrow is Saturday, it's a Sabbath. But when we finish worshiping tomorrow, we're going to play it again. And we're going to have the discussion. They say with music nice, you play it twice. Well, this budget presentation is deserving of more airplay. The government or the party should perhaps pay for more airtime on regular TV and bring this again. The Jamaican people deserve this. Must be hammered home. It is the first time in Jamaica's history that a budget has been presented that has the Jamaican people at the center of the presentation. And it is something that is worth talking about, repeating, and highlighting. So, yeah. So that's one of the reasons why we are continuing to play this budget presentation by Dr. Nigel Clarke. And on Sunday, this Sunday, between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, we're going to be having an exclusive discussion looking at all the initiatives that have been presented by Dr. Clarke. We're going to break them down to the lowest common multiple. We're going to break them down so the average Jamaican can understand and appreciate what has been done. I don't think people really can be, big up yourself. Rollin Colley, big up yourself. Good to see you. Princess Clarke, big up yourself. I don't think the average Jamaican understand that this budget is unprecedented. And unprecedented in a positive way. We've seen something where what has been presented will have a significant impact on the Jamaican people. And when we get these sort of budget presentation, it is deserving of every single highlight it can get. All my friends over on the X platform, big up yourself. Good to see you all this evening. Thank you all for joining us. And we are going to go live on X as well. So we might do a simultaneous podcast on Sunday, which we might just go live on X and also on YouTube. But we will be breaking down this budget presentation. We'll be looking at all the initiatives and incentives that have been given. We want to explore some of the big ones. For example, the unemployment insurance. A lot of people don't know that that's perhaps one of the biggest things that has been announced. But because people are not aware of how it works and the benefits to be derived, it is not getting the highlight I think it deserves. So we're going to take it on as our little project to have that discussion on Sunday. Well, we're going to be having a chartered accountant here as well to take the regular man's paycheck, break it down. If you're earning X amount per year, how it's going to benefit you, the type of savings, how much more money you'll have in your wallet. And for some who requires to file more income tax or, all that good stuff. I want to explain to persons how the economy works and the fact that we have a growing economy and when the size of the economy, which Dr. Clarke spoke about years ago. He always talks about the increasing the size of the pie. He said it years ago that when you increase the size of the pie, it means that people will get a bigger slice or more persons can get a slice of that pie. But when you have the same pie to share among a larger group, it reduces the size, the portion that each is served. So he promised years ago, and I'm going to find those clips, we're going to play them. He promised years ago that one of the solutions to Jamaica's economic crisis is to increase the size of the pie. And he did that successfully. He did that without the IMF having a whip over our back. He did that, Sam. And it's important that we should highlight it. You see, I've been saying this for years that the PNP has absolutely zero moral authority to claim paternity to Jamaica's economic recovery or Jamaica's economic growth and development. I've always encouraged persons, don't take my word for it. Go back from 1960s, 1962 from independent Jamaica until today, the 29th day of March 2024. Examine every single period in which the PNP governed this country. And I will tell you that the PNP has never, ever, ever, ever grown this economy. Never, 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 ever. They have never produced what we have been able to produce. And as such, we have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to boast about. We have a lot to talk about. And talk about it, we're going to. We're not going to sit idly by and allow people to rewrite history. Dr. Clarke said it very well. He spoke about the fact that the JLP's economic posture from 2007 period, where Bruce Golding was the prime minister, Don Webby and Don Webby was a part of the Ministry of Finance, led by Ardy Shaw and Dwight Nelson. They were the ones who set the fiscal rules in place. When I had this discussion and Cliff Hughes' program, I never forget, and he tries to tell me that credit must be given to Dr. Phillips and all that stuff. And I said to him, no, you cannot be a fireman who starts a fire, come back and put the fire out and expect me to give you credit for putting that fire out. You started it. You started that fire. But in the case of what took place in the 2012 period, it is obvious, and nobody can distort the facts, that the JLP would have been the ones to have put the fiscal rules in place that streamline and put Jamaica on the path of economic recovery. We, the Jamaica Labour Party, own the right fully, without my share it with anybody. Nobody deserves to get a slice of that. It belongs to the JLP, who would have demonstrated the willingness and the ability to transform Jamaica's economy. It is the JLP that have a history of performance. It is the JLP that understands what it takes to build and to grow an economy, not the PNP. And as such, we have a responsibility to make sure that we hammer that point home every single day and every opportunity that we get. Because we should not sit idly by and allow anybody to rewrite the party or the government's history. History must have it that Jamaica since 1962 has been run by two major political parties. One in the form of the People's National Party and the other in the form of the Jamaica Labour Party. It must also be categorically clear to the minds of every Jamaican that when you examine the period from 1972 until today, the 29th of March, 2024, the record will show that it is the Jamaica Labour Party that has done everything with regards to growing Jamaica's economy. If you don't have a healthy economy, if you don't have an economy that can produce, if you don't have an economy that is growing, how are you going to provide services to your people? How are you going to provide the necessary services for your people if your economy is not growing? If you don't have the cash, how is it that you think that you're going to care? If you do not have the cash, how will you be able to care? It takes cash to care. If you talk about you want to put people first, how are you going to put people first when you are broke, when you're borrowing to pay basic housekeeping bills? If your net international reserve isn't good, if you're not able to bring in maximum tourist arrival into the country to boost the country's economy, how on earth do you plan to put people first? Well, history would have it. The PNP has always talked about putting people first. But you put people first on a broke pocket. You have nothing to give them. And you borrow to pay basic food costs, basic oil, basic teachers and nurses, because you could not run an economy effective enough, efficient enough to allow you to grow so that you can actually increase public sector wages, buy 100 more fire trucks, right? If you're not able to run an effective economy, how are you going to be able to purchase another 200 JUTC buses? How are you going to know getting ready to purchase another 150 brand new, 250 brand new police vehicles? How are you going to be able to do these things if you do not know how to grow an economy? The PNP method of raising funds was to do what is called forward sale of bauxite. They would sell the bauxite before it was even dug. Before the bauxite came out the earth, they would have collected that money and eat it long ago. That is your method, is to deliver what they don't have, is to spend what you don't earn. And I'm saying to us, we have a responsibility not to buy into the narrative, but to explain to the Jamaican people in honest terms, talk to them and let them understand that this chickeny weeny thing that the PNP is coming with, we must rubbish it on sight. We must not entertain it. I will say Bruce Golden administration of 2007, which the finance ministry was headed by Mr. Audley Shaw, Don Webby, and Dwight Nelson. Those three gentlemen did what no other country in the world did at the time. They did the Jamaica debt exchange. That initiative alone pulled Jamaica back from the precipice of economic collapse right when the rest of the world's economy was going through recession. It was the JLP who pulled us back from the brink of economic collapse in the 2007 period under Bruce Golden. Yes, JDX was our initiative, and that was the saving grace. So let no one tell you about they own the rights. The PNP like to talk about corruption. They like to spread this scary game about corruption. Oh, Jamaica is the most corrupt country on earth. Bull crap. No truth to that. Push back on that lie. Transparency International, which everybody relies on to give us the bad and the good news, have said in their last report that this current administration has the best ranking on Transparency International website in decades. A matter of fact, I dare to say in Jamaica's history. Now, if Transparency International is saying that this government score the best on their corruption index, who should we trust? We cannot trust the PNP. The PNP will come out and tell us these stories, but when you check the facts, it does not add up. Because Mark Golden maths just not mathsing. Mark Golden argument just not penetrating the minds of anybody. So we have to ensure that when they open their mouth to say these things, we must be right front and center to shove it back down their nasty throats. Because the truth is, it's a lie from the pit of hell. How can you look and discover and declare Jamaica to be the most corrupt? Some of these NGOs and so-called civil society groups who are out there talking about corruption and liken Jamaica to some of the most corrupt failed states in the world, they are doing that to facilitate their own existence. They are not speaking from a place of honesty and integrity. I've not heard one of those persons come out in recent times and cite Transparency International as their source for corruption. Why? Because at this time, Transparency International is not selling them the story that they want to hear. So as such, they now start to discredit an international organization who have in the past rackled the Jamaica Labour Party government, and they have done so under the People's National Party. So when they now come out and say to the Jamaican people that your government has performed the best in history on the corruption index, why should we believe what the PNP has to say? We should push back that lie right down their very throats. So I'm saying to you, on this blessed evening here, Good Friday, we must stay focused, and we should not allow anybody to take away what is rightfully ours. It is us. It is this JLP government that has transformed Jamaica. The PNP has never done it. The PNP don't have the capacity to actually grow an economy. The PNP has been consistent in their policy pursuit all the time. The policy that they pursue is always a policy of handout, a policy that distributes what you don't have, a policy that creates an uneven environment for development. That is why in Kingston and St. Andrew, you have over 50 cranes in the sky, building out brand new structures all over Kingston. But they would never do it when the PNP was in office. Why? Ask yourself that question. They will not. Investors will not invest their money under PNP administration because the PNP history does not give confidence or does not put confidence in the minds of the average business people. It is businesses, it's the growth of businesses that push revenue up, that gives the government more money so they can spend it on more Jamaicans, provide services for Jamaicans. It's because businesses are doing well. It is because people are paying their taxes. It's because the tax revenue has doubled in a short while. Double. They're collecting, I think, 1.5 times more than they usually collect. And as such, we have an economic bubble. It's growing. It's growing. So when these persons, somebody's here talking about the Rattigans and them, when they're talking, remember I was on their program and I told them that 99.9% of what you're saying over here is lie. And y'all know it's lie. Y'all know when you come on your platform and talk about how corrupt Jamaica is, you know you're telling a lie. You know it's not the truth. You know when I say to you on their program, I said it many times, that the corruption index measured through Transparency International says that Jamaica has the best ratings in Jamaica's history. And nobody will highlight that. You won't hear that on the traditional media because it is not a subject that is bashing Jamaica. And some of these persons who soak up these negative comments are Jamaicans. So we're not being torn down by the people from other countries. We're being torn to pieces by our own people. And if you look at those waste people over there in South Florida, I'm not talking about everybody in South Florida. I'm talking about that particular group of so-called Jamaicans who sit around a platform every Sunday and style Jamaica as being corrupt. You are the corrupt ones. You are the ones who are using your platform to do corrupt deeds by talking about Jamaica and how corrupt they are. You have no moral authority to speak to Jamaica about corrupt. If there's ever a more corrupt country than the one that you're living in, show me it. Certainly not Jamaica. And I will say to you, I will say that in front of your faces. Yes, but PNP has never and will never and can never ever claim responsibility for Jamaica's growth and development. Bruce Gordon administration started it. They are the ones who came in and put the fiscal rule together. And the PNP won and had absolutely zero choice but to continue on a path of economic growth and development set out by the Jamaica Labour Party. Go over to our YouTube channel, guys, please, and just subscribe to the YouTube channel, Chops Media, CHOPPS, capital MEDIA, Chops Media on YouTube. If you go there, same as the Chops Media here on TikTok. If you go over to our channel on YouTube, please like, press that notification bell, because when we go live on Sunday, it will be exclusively on X and also on YouTube. We're going to be breaking down this classic presentation by Dr. Nigel Clarke. And we're going to look at all the initiatives that have been implemented. We're going to look at some that came out of the Prime Minister's budget presentation as well. I want to discuss them, I want to break them down to the average Jamaican who gets a paycheck from government, who probably don't understand exactly how this thing is working out for them. How are they going to be benefiting from this? We want to take the opportunity to see if we can reach out to some of these guys. There'll be a link provided before. I'm going to ask you guys to share it as best as possible. But I'll encourage you, if you want to see this exclusive discussion, breaking down every aspect of the presentation on Sunday, please log on to our YouTube channel, Chops Media. Press that notification bell tonight, because once you do that tonight, it means on Sunday, you are going to be automatically notified once we go live. So we're going to start. We have started the preparation work. So we're going to have all those materials and we're going to be discussing it. Tell a friend, tweet a friend, and tell a friend that we're going to be on Sunday, live between 8 and 10 o'clock, 2 hours. We're going to break that budget down to pieces and look at it and tell every Jamaican how this is going to be beneficial to you. All right? So with that said, we are about to wrap it up. 8 minutes over my time. We are 11:08, 8 minutes after 11 o'clock. It was a pleasure rapping with you guys. I'm going to go back and finalize the budget presentation from Dr. Nigel Clarke. So stick and stay. We'll come back to you in just a moment. Stick and stay, guys.
Duties, Madam Speaker, is Mr. Speaker, a negotiation that very, very, very expensive and can take a very long time. Currently, Jamaica applies import duties and additional stamp duties on imported raw foods. For example, for tomatoes, for cabbage, and for carrots, raw food that we produce in Jamaica, import duty is 100%. And additional stamp duty is 80%. And these are compounded. And that results in an effective total duty rate of 260%.
So in the chat, I want to just recognize who have followed the YouTube channel Chops Media. So if you've already done so, please make sure you type it in the chat. Yes, I see you. Roland Colley, I see you. You've said that. I appreciate it. Anybody else? Any other person who have joined the Chops Media YouTube channel? Go ahead, subscribe, like, and follow, and subscribe to that page. Sam Jerry, blessed. If you have already done so, please go ahead and type it in the chat so we can know that you all are on board. Yes, Devon McLennan, I see you. I know you're on YouTube. I see you. Dave Camry, big up yourself. Mike Barrett, big up yourself. Jennifer Hill Bennett, big up yourself. And all my folks over here on TikTok, big up yourself. Love you all. Betsy Poyle. Who else you got there? Sam Irie. Fix your face. Whose face? My face? Whose face? Sam Irie, big up yourself. But yeah, so go ahead, guys. As I said, if you've jumped over to the YouTube channel and you have liked and followed the page, please let me know. We are going to be live in that area. We're going to be live on Monday. Sorry about that. We're going to be live on Monday, and we're going to be on our YouTube channel. So please feel free, not just feel free, but please head over to our YouTube. Yes, Sam, I see you. Good. Sam is over there. Betsy Powell, are you on our YouTube channel, Chops Media? Please, Sophia, big up yourself. Good to see you, Sophia Peart. Please head over to our YouTube channel, Chops Media, and subscribe. Not just subscribe, but you need to press that notification bell. In that way, when we go live on Sunday, we're going to have an exclusive discussion. We want to make sure that everybody is on there exclusively on YouTube. We're going to look at the budget. We're going to break it down in the lowest common multiple. We're going to look at every single aspect of that budget, and we're going to help the Jamaican people to understand how they're going to be benefiting from these initiatives. All right? Yes. Linval, big up yourself. Greg, good to see you as well. Natoya Henry, big up yourself. Good to see you, Natoya. Share the program, guys. Tell a friend. Good night. Good night to you, Natoya. Enough love, enough respect. We have 12 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go. We're going to get out of here at 11:20, and we are 11:13. So 7 minutes for us to wrap it up. Truth Speaker, or through Truth Seeker. Big up yourself. Good to see you. Donovan Cambry, big up yourself. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yes, Dave, big up yourself. Yes, so though I don't listen to those folks anymore because they're a bunch of propaganda people. I don't have time for them. 1 star. Good night to you, 1 star. The YouTube channel, Chops Media. Head over there, 1 star. Give us a like, my brother. Who is here that can tap the screen and get us up to 10,000 before we exist? Can anybody get us up to 10,000 likes? Yeah, man. If you just go ahead and tap the screen, you'll get us up to 10,000 likes. Kitty Ann, big up yourself. Good to see you as well. Who else is here? Kitty Ann is here. What's up, my friend? Good to see you, Kitty. What's going on? 1 star. Big up yourself. Sam J. Irie or Sam Jari. Yeah, Sam Jari. Big up yourself. Whatever that name means, my brother. It sounds like it has Jamaica written all over it. So big up yourself. Lil, big up yourself. Betsy Powell, big up yourself. Who else we got? We got Dark Angel, big up yourself. Marvet, big up yourself. Everybody who is on, big up yourself. And those are my friends out there on YouTube. I see our YouTube is growing now. I can tell you when people are joining. There you go. Our YouTube is growing, and a lot of persons are coming in on YouTube. Truth Seeker, you're there. Rollin Cully, you're there. Yeah, I see you, Rollin. Helen Scarlett, you are there as well. I see the YouTubers are coming in now. There you go. There you go. Big up yourself, my YouTubers. Good to see you. Good to see you all. Yeah, Damian Leon. What's going on, Mr. Leon? Big up yourself, my brother. Present. Damian is in the building. Long time we're not talking to my brethren, but we need to touch base. But this Sunday, exclusive on Chops Media, on our YouTube channel, we'll be looking at the budget again. Dr. Nigel Clarke. We're going to go through every aspect of this budget, and we're going to break it down. We're going to bring some experts on to talk to us about the initiatives. How is it going to impact the lives of the average Jamaican, the average working class Jamaican, and who's going to be benefiting, how much you're going to be benefiting, what your paycheck look like today, what it will look like tomorrow, all that stuff. Check us Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We are going to do that. We're going to break it down. We're going to look at the benefits. We know that there are significant benefits to be had from this budget. We're going to make sure that the average Jamaican gets it. Make sure you all join. Make sure you all share. We're going to put that link up before Sunday. Matter of fact, tomorrow, we're going to start that promo. The great CJ is in the building, and CJ is going to do that thumbnail for us. Right, CJ? CJ is going to do that thumbnail for us. He's going to put that promo out. And I'm going to beg you guys to go ahead and ensure that you invite everybody on this Sunday. We've invited a few folks. Apka is going to be here. Probably Matthew. Chartered accountant is going to be here. Other persons are going to weigh in. We're going to open the phone line for persons to ask questions. We're going to get those paychecks and we're going to break them down. We're going to explain to persons, if you're earning 2 million, this is what's going to happen. Earning 2.5, this is what's going to happen. Who has no sound? Joan, you have no sound? I think everybody else have sound, Joan. What's going on with you? You probably need to unmute. I don't know if Facebook is giving us some problem there. But Joan, make sure you hop over to our YouTube channel if Facebook is acting up. Facebook doesn't want to promote the chopping block. Let me tell you why. The chopping block is a political platform. It is registered as a political platform. And they will not promote it because it's a political platform. And I think that's the reason. So we're not getting a lot of traction over on Facebook. But our X people, the people on X, the people on Twitter, X now, formerly Twitter, those folks are joining us. The persons on Chops Media, they're coming through. And we like that. Steve Donaldson, big up yourself. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing this Sunday, live, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, 2 hours. We're going to break it down. We're going to look at all the positives. Yeah, Shane Carr, yeah, all those folks. We're gonna have a nice panel to discuss it, and mostly experts who can take that budget and not rip it to pieces, but break it down so the average Jamaican can understand how it's going to be beneficial to them. That is what we're going to be doing this Sunday. So stand by tomorrow. We're going to be doing that promo. We're going to schedule that live. It's going to be at 8 p.m. on Sunday. And wherever you are, make sure you schedule, make that a date, and do not be late. We're going to look at it. All those paychecks, if you're earning 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 million, $4 million. If you're earning $4 million, we are going to explain to you what is in this budget for you. How is it, how has it benefited you? How will it continue to benefit you even more in going forward? So Sunday, 8 to 10. Make it a date, and you should not be late. Kitty Ann, big up yourself. 100 years come. Yes, and also that $100. If you purchase anything, it used to be $50. That has increased to $100. We're going to explain that too. We're going to explain how it works for persons who are coming home from the United States. And if you purchase anything in excess of $500, it used to be $500 for your exemption. Now that is increased to $1,000. So you can now purchase up to $1,000 worth of goods, and you can bring that through the port, and you will not be paying any duty. Tap the screen, guys. Get us up to 10,000. We are at 10,000, but if you are so good, you can probably get us to 12,000 likes before we close this out. So yeah, tap the screen. You're there. Lily, tap up that screen. Cathy Ann, tap the screen. Who else is there? Who are my little tappers for tonight? Just tap up that screen. Good. And get us up to at least another couple thousand so we can move that number up to 10,000 likes for this evening. We never used to do these things, but now we realize how important it is. When we tap the screen, it gets the show in the For You page and gets other persons to be notified, and we get more people in, and we get the message wider and far and deeper into the minds of the Jamaican people, which is what we ought to do. So tap the screen, tell a friend, share if you're not sharing. If you haven't shared it yet, go ahead and share it. And if you have not gone over to YouTube to subscribe to the YouTube channel, please, the YouTube channel is Chops Media, just the same as it is here. Chops Media on YouTube, same symbol, same icon, same logo. You go over to YouTube, you follow that channel, and once you do that, you press that notification bell as well, because once we go live, you will be the first to get notified. And when you're notified, especially for this Sunday, you will be in for a treat. It's going to be an informative program when we are going to be doing a lot to explain to the average voter what is it that has, is in this budget, what the minister meant when he said X, Y, and Z. We will explain what red card means. When him say red card, we're going to tell you what red card means. Red card. When he says the opposition is unprincipled in his behavior, we know what that means. We're going to break it down for you. We are going to explain to you. Oh, look at that. We are so quick. You can get us up to 15,000. Yeah, man, you can get us up to 15,000. Look at that. Just a few taps just now, and we're up to 12,000. Get us up to 15,000, guys. Kitty, I know you can do it. Helen, I know you can. Fabulous, who is there again? Natalia Henry, you can get us up to 15,000. I know you can do it, so let's do it. Boom, 15 grand, just like that. And once you're up to 15, remember our objective, guys. We want to make sure we get the live on the For You page so other persons can get notified quickly and easy. And that's what we want. We want to get it up to those numbers. If you have not yet followed the page, actually follow the Chops Media. Go ahead and do so, because a lot of persons, we are up to almost 70,000 in likes, but we do not have 70,000 persons following the page. So I'm asking you guys, if you have not yet followed, go ahead and do so. Andrew King, big up yourself. Good to see you. Benji, Wagwan, enough respect. Cheryl, go ahead. Not just tap the screen, because you need to get a seat. You're almost at 30. You're at 14,000, just like that. Look how easy it is. I mean, if you guys can get us to 15,000 in 3 minutes, then you can actually get us up to 20,000. That's not hard. You guys can do it. Jolly, love it. Big up yourself, man. Big up yourself. Patsy Poet, big up yourself. Tap the screen. Get us up to 20,000. And once you get us up to 20,000, we are at, I believe the last time I checked, we're at about 65, 16, almost 70,000 likes on the page itself. But are we at 70,000 persons following that page? No. Why? Why is it that they can do it, but we can't? Is it that we don't support each other? Not true. Red card for that. I think we support each other. I think labor rights are capable of bringing our pages up. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it all the way up. Natalia, let's bring it up. Benji, let's bring it up. Donna, God bless, let's bring it up. Cheryl Brown, let's bring it up. Tap the screen. You are at 15,000. And you got us from 9,000 to 15,000 in 3 minutes. Look at that. It's so easy. From 9,000 to 15,000 in 3 minutes, you guys did that. 3 minutes, you got us up to 15,000. So why you can't get us up to 20? I know you can. You're at 16,000 right now. And if you tap that screen, you will get us up to 20,000. And that's what we want. We want to get up to 20,000. Once we're at 20,000, then we can relax a little bit and we can push again. But 20,000 is a good number. We weren't promoting it, but we're going to do that now because we want to get this page all the way up to the top. We're at about 7,000 in followers, and we want to get it up to 10,000. 10,000 is our milestone. Once we get to 10,000, we can start to broaden ourselves out. Anthony, big up yourself. Good to see you. Anthony, if you have not yet followed the page, please go ahead and do that. Damian, if you haven't followed the page yet, go ahead and do that. Good as Anthony, follow Chops Media. And also, not just on TikTok, but if you can go over to YouTube and follow Chops Media on YouTube, so we can bring this page all the way up to 10,000 by Sunday. By Sunday. See, we have 2 more days. We must be able to get this page up to 10,000 by Sunday. We are at 18,000 likes right now. And we did that in 5 minutes. We took this right now from 9,000 likes. And we are now up to 18,000 and counting. And we did that in 5 minutes. Can you imagine? That's the power of how we work as a group. 1 star. 1 star, just follow. I see that. Good. Who else is going to be following us? Damian, Linton, have you followed? Good. So if you've not yet followed the page, I beg of you, go ahead and click that button, follow, and also press that notification, because when we go live, you'll be the first to know. It's going to be a different type of show around here. We're going to go a little bit harder. You know, we pride ourselves on delivering with facts, not fiction, facts. The page is there. Let me see if I can post it here. Someone is asking us to post it. It's Chops Media. It's It's live right now on YouTube, but someone is asking us to share it. So we're going to copy that link and we're going to put that link in the chat in the description here. Hopefully we can pin it. And if we can, boom. And there you have it. Boom, it's in the chat. And we are going to also pin. Let's see if we can pin it. Oh, yeah. Nope, we can't. Can we? Let's see. All right. It doesn't seem like we can. They're a little bit funny over here, you know. Sometimes I don't want you to pin the link if it's promoting another. All right, cool. So that's a link in the Courtney. That's a link in the chat for Chops Media on YouTube. That's a link right there. So what you can also do, guys, if you post the Chops Media link on your page, that's going to get some folks and your friends to go over there and like it. All right. We are actually at 21,000 likes right now. And we did that without even, it's like effortless. We did that. 21,000 likes. And it seems like good as and Samari and Natoya and others, it seemed like they're about to take us up to 30,000. And that's pretty easy. We did that without any effort at all. The same effort, though, you have to put that in getting us up to 10,000. Betsy Powell and others, I know you guys can do it. Let's get this up to 10,000. We need this at 10,000 by 8 o'clock on Sunday. We get up to 10,000. That means we're going to get simple another 3,000 persons to follow Chops Media. That's all we need. Another 3,000 persons to follow Chops Media on TikTok. But on YouTube, all we need is to get us up to 1,000. And then once we get to 1,000, then we can do some other things and get that page going. Jason Morgan, big up yourself. Fully supported. Love that, Jason. Appreciate it. Share it with your friends and ask them to join and follow that page. If you can do that for us, we appreciate it. It's not that we're not promoting the Facebook page. We are. But our emphasis right now is on the YouTube channel. That's the channel we want to grow. And we are continuing to grow this TikTok page. So two main focus right now is YouTube and the TikTok. X is also kicking up a storm here right now. A matter of fact, and this live, X has the majority of persons watching, and that's good. X has the majority of persons watching, and I know on X you have some distractors over there. There's a guy called John Pollock over there who is so disrespectful and ungrateful. It's not funny. And I'm going to deal with him. I just don't want to deal with him now, but I'm going to fix his business very soon. And we're going to go into a different mood. But today is not that mood. But we're going to fix John Pollock. We're going to fix him good and proper. Tap the screen over here on TikTok. And you have brought us up to 23,000 likes. Look at that. We're inches away from 30,000 good ads. Inches away from 30,000. Bridget, Marshall, big up yourself. Bridget is in the building. And once Bridget is in the building, the screen is going to be tapped away. If you tap that screen, you're going to get us. Bridget is here to take us up to 30,000. That's 7,000 in 5 minutes. Bridget is going to do that. Good as it's here still. Samari is here. Who else? Red Renegade is in the building. The Red Renegade is in the building. Bridget, I know you're going to get us up to 10 to 30,000 in a few. We are 6,000 short of 30,000. See where we're coming from, guys? We are coming from 9,000. And we've been able to take us up to 24,000. And we did that under 10 minutes. So it tells you that if we're serious about growing the page, growing our platform, this is our platform, so we can support each other and provide clarity to some of the mis and disinformation that people have. But we can't do it alone. Valerie, I see you. Red Renegade, I see you. I see you coming through. Damian, I see you coming through. Natalia, you're still here. Love it. Love the support. Tiara, I see you. You are in the building. Taira and the crew, they have been support for this page from day one. Cheryl Garden, good to see you. Tap the screen, share the program, tell a friend. You took us from 9,000. We are now at 25,000. And I guarantee you, Bridget, you stepped into the building and you're going to bring us up to 30,000 in less than 5. We have 5,000, 4,000 to go. We're at 5,000. We're at 6,000 plus. So we need about 4,000 to go, and that's going to take us up to 30,000. I promise you, when you get us at 30,000, I'm going to take a chill pill, fold my hands like this, and relax. Because I know Sunday, this page is going to be in excess of 10,000. This YouTube channel is going to hit that 1,000 mark, and we're going to be in good business. Come Sunday, Jason Morgan says, fully supported. Love that, Jason. Courtney Edwards, big up yourself. Love that. Come Sunday, Taira, we are going to be live. We are going to be on, and let me big up the folks over on X, over on Twitter. 60 deep on Twitter. We love that. I am going to be dealing. There's a guy over on X who has been very disrespectful and ungrateful. I'm going to fix his business. Just hold on a second. We're going to fix his business. Donald, big up yourself. Yeah. You like what was said on the live? Yeah, man, definitely. Positive energy, and we're going to be using truth. Truth pressed to earth will always rise. Remember that. No matter how far down you press the truth, it will always rise. And we believe that we can continue using facts to beat back the propaganda of these guys. When these guys talk about corruption, yet the Transparency International says that corruption, Jamaica's ratings and the corruption index has been the lowest in history. How do you come out and brand a country our government has been corrupt when the international rating agencies are saying otherwise? Huh? How do you do that? And you do it successfully too. We are at 28,000, guys. 28,000. Jolly, yeah, man, respect. Jolly start to follow us. Big up yourself, Jolly. Enough respect. We love that. Anybody else? If you just follow, hit that button. We big up Jolly. Respect for the follow, Jolly. We love it. We need a lot more. We need at least 3,000 new followers by Sunday because we have to get this page up to 10,000 by Sunday. 10,000 here and a little over 1,000 on YouTube. And that's going to be where we're going to taper off and start to move forward. I know you guys can do it. You took us just now from 9,000 and you're now 29,000. You're just 1,000 away from 30,000. That's serious work. And you guys have tapped the screen to the, listen, you guys have worked it like magic. Taira, I see you. You're in the building. Taira is one of our moderators. She's in the building. Big up yourself, TT. Enough love. Donald, Divi, my brother. Big up yourself. Good to see you. Donna Goodas, Wagwan. OD, you just joined. Red Renegade, big up yourself. Yeah. So go ahead and like the program, folks. Like the channel. Make sure that you're not just liking. I told you before, we're at 65,000 likes on Chops Media, but we're only at 7,000 followers. So it means that you're liking the contents, you're liking what we're doing, but you're really not following the page. And this is what we're asking you guys to do. Follow the page, just like the folks here. They're tapping the screen away, and they have gotten us up to 30,000. I can ask for more. Took us from 9,000 to 30,000 likes. I love that. I'm hoping that these likes now will transition into more people seeing the contents, and they will follow the page. So big up yourself. To all those who have joined, and for those who have continued to support us. Violet Facey, big up yourself. Yeah, so YouTube is where we want to push our focus for Sunday. Sunday is going to be a very important discussion. As I said to you before, for those of you just joining us, we're going to be live on YouTube, and we're going to look at the Nigel Clarke's budget presentation. Not that we're going to look at his exclusively, but we're going to take his first. We're going to go through that. We're going to dissect every single aspect of it. We're going to explain all the initiatives, all that has been presented, and we're going to explain it to the common man, how they will benefit. We're going to do that come Sunday. And then we're going to take the Prime Minister's presentation another day, and we're going to put that into perspective as well and explain to the average Jamaican how these things are going to be benefiting them. Pension, how the pension scheme is going to work. There's a unemployment insurance that is coming. First world countries have these sort of initiatives. How is it beneficial to persons in big countries? How will it be beneficial to persons in Jamaica? We're going to look at that. The person who's earning $1.5 million, persons earning 2.5, 3.5, $4 million. How does these initiatives help them? How will they see more money in their pockets? The pensioner who has seen a significant increase in pension, how is it going to make them different? The compensation itself, rolling over your benefits or your extra perks into your salary itself. How did that come about, and what is the pros and cons? How it benefit you? Yes, in some instances you might see a little bit less, but are you going to retire poor like most Jamaicans? No, because the objective of that particular initiative was to ensure that when you retire not in poverty, but you retire with a good salary that can keep you until you leave this earth. So these are initiatives that needs to be explained. A chartered accountant will be here, and we will have a couple of other persons because I want to discuss this at length. I want to look at if you have any questions, there's a phone line open. You can call in, you can have the discussion, ask your questions, we'll answer it. We'll get it answered by professionals who understand the mathematics, who understand how to break these things down and how to explain it to the average Jamaican. So do not miss Sunday 8 to 10 live exclusively on our YouTube channel, Chops Media, which you guys have brought us up to 31,000 here on TikTok, and you did that pretty quick. And Angel, good as you're still in the building. Good to see you. Daniel G, big up yourself. Big up yourself, Daniel. Good for passing through. Who is this again? Maple. Maple. Me Paula. Oh, it is me, Paula. Well, go on, Paula. Big up yourself. Good as we see you in the building. I hope you like it in the Dubai. You don't just like the live. I hope you are following the page. I hope you are following the page. My Paula, hope you're following the page. Not just liking the contents, but following the page. Moffat, I see you just passing through. Don't just pass through like that, Moffat, please go ahead and not just like, but make sure you follow. Yeah, man, big up yourself, Paula. No respect. Jalmar, who else is there? Yeah, man, don't just pass through. Joseph Hamilton, big up yourself, Joe. Enough respect. Make sure you're not just liking the contents, but you're actually following the page. We have to bring this up to 10,000 by Sunday. You guys can do it. I know. I have every confidence. You've just brought us from 9,000 to 32,000 in probably 13, 14 minutes. And that's just great. Hammer, I see you in the building. Roderick, I see you in the building. Roderick Mason, big up yourself. Make sure you're not just liking the contents, Roderick and Hammer. Make sure you're following. Oh, well, Hammer just followed us. So big up yourself, Hammer. Enough respect. G Girl, big up yourself. Tokyo, big up yourself. Sweet Lips Business, big up yourself. Raymond Price, the government should remember. Yeah, good. Yeah, man. So Sweet Lips Business, make sure you're following Chops Media, not just on TikTok, but I want you to hop over to the YouTube channel, Chops Media, and follow. Make sure you like and follow that channel. Make sure you press the notification bell, because when we go live on Sunday, you will be the first to get notified. Looking forward for that. That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good discussion come Sunday, live on Chops Media, live on YouTube, this Sunday, 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock. Karine, enough respect. Good as me see you. You're there, non-stop. Anonymous, put a smile. Yeah, big up yourself. Donald, I'd like to give you a topic to discuss. Go ahead. You know how to message us. Send us a message. We got that. We will run with that. Don't worry about it. We love it. Jermaine, big up yourself. User Omar Harriet, big up yourself. Make sure Hugh Johnson, make sure you're following. Make sure you are not just liking the contents, Hugh, but make sure that you're following, and not just following the TikTok page, but you're following the YouTube channel, which is the same Chops Media. We are Chops Media on YouTube, Chops Media on TikTok, Chops Media on X, formerly Twitter. We're Chops Media there as well. So make sure you're following us all over town so we can continue to grow, because we know that come Sunday, we will have at least 10,000 followers. We're going to hit that 10,000 mark come Sunday. And I want you guys to be a part of that celebration. On YouTube, we're going to hit the 1,000 plus mark before Sunday, because I see you guys are hopping over to YouTube. A lot of persons are going over to YouTube. Joy, you're going over to YouTube. Jamal, you're going over to YouTube. Hugh Johnson is going over to YouTube. Omar Miller is going over to YouTube. All of those persons, they are actually following the TikTok page, and they're going over to YouTube to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So I know that by Sunday we'll be up at 1,000 on YouTube, and we'll be over 10,000 on TikTok. Cheryl Gordon, I see you. I know Cheryl is going over there as well. Who else is here? Jalmar, I see you. I know. Yeah, Hugh likes the live, but I hope Hugh will follow the channel. Is Hugh a follower? Let's just make sure. Let's not, we're going to follow Hugh back as well. And we're going to be following back some of these folks as well too, because we need to make sure. Miguel Lewis, big up yourself. Miguel is following. Good to see you, Miguel. Enough love, enough respect. I appreciate it. Well, Miguel, head over to the YouTube channel. The same love you're giving us here on TikTok, we need that love over on YouTube. We are at 33,000 likes right now. You took us from 9,000 out of the 33,000. In 33,000 likes in about 20 minutes, and we love that. Enough respect for that. Yes, so this government gave me the biggest pension increase. Paul Smith just said that. He said this government has given him the biggest pension increase in his lifetime. Can't ask for better than that. Donna Goodas, Marsha, I see you, Marsha. I see you coming through the door, Marsha. Don't worry, the door is open. Go ahead and like and follow the channel. Donna, God bless. Big up yourself, Donna. Enough respect to you. Donna, God bless, is in the building. Big up yourself, Donna. Make sure you're following the channel. Guru Dan, Janet Rodney, big up yourself. Jennifer Williams, what's going on with you? Jen, big up yourself, Jennifer Williams. Anjo, 12, big up yourself. Love that. Rose McCullough, big up yourself, Rose. What's going on with you, Rose? Make sure you're following this channel, Chops Media, and make sure, Rose, that you are over on our YouTube channel. Same Chops Media on YouTube. And if you're on X, formerly Twitter, make sure you're following us on Twitter as well. Because don't feel no way. Our Twitter folks are out in their numbers. Twitter is up to 60 right now. Twitter actually is the highest followers, not the highest followers, but the highest viewers we have right now. They are live on X. And we are going to make sure that this Sunday, not only YouTube, but we are going to be live on X as well, because we have to share the love and spread the love. But Rose McCullough, big up yourself. Beverly Smith, what's going on with you? Enough respect, enough love. Make sure you're following Beverly, not just following here on TikTok, but make sure you're following us on YouTube as well, because come Sunday, our YouTube channel must, and I emphasize must, be at least 1,000, and our TikTok channel. Kenny C, I see you're in the building. They're going to be at least 10,000. Monique, what's going on with you, Monique? Good to see you as well. Jonathan, big up yourself. Hugh, you're in the building. Big up yourself, Jonathan. Who else is here? Rosemary Miller, big up herself. Yeah, the new high rise in Vineyard Town. Yeah, man, we're going to be talking about that as well. You see, the government is enjoying a period where private sector people, they are not scared of investing their money. They were scared when the PNP was in office because they have seen them display a certain level of incompetence when it comes to managing the economy. I don't think that investors are motivated to really open their wallets when the PNP is in office. So yeah, but enough love, respect, guys. You guys have blown this thing out the roof. You got 33,000 likes. You know, but just to answer what you're saying there, Andrew, the business community and investors in particular, investors have never shown any high level of motivation when it comes to spending or investing their money under the PNP, because God's son never give up. Big up yourself. Because the PNP have a history of disappointing investors. They don't believe that when you invest your money and people make money that everybody would benefit. Well, this is a classic example. You're building out, you grow the economy, and now the government has the revenue to come back and dump a lot of money back into the pockets of the average Jamaican. I don't want to say poor Jamaican, but the average Jamaican. It's to make sure that their kids can go to school, get an education. It's to make sure that they can find food to put in their house. It's to make sure that when they retire, they can retire and not being poor. They can retire on a livable pension. That's what this government does. And when the government does stuff like that, they can only do it because they have the money to do it. It takes cash to care. Edward Seaga said that. If you don't have the cash, you cannot care. It doesn't matter how you talk. The PNP is known for giving away what they don't have. The PNP is known, for giving away and doling out money. They can share, but they certainly can't cook. And that's why Nigel Clarke gave them a Ricardo Smith, big up yourself. That's why Nigel said red card, more red card, because they like to share and they can't cook. They like to issue what they don't make, right? Frederick Bile, big up yourself. Good to see you. Welcome. Make sure you're following this Chops Media. Come Sunday, we're going to have a couple of persons on. Big up yourself, Taylor. Good to see you. Paul Smith, big up yourself. Violet, big up yourself. Jason, big up yourself. But we are going to be live on Sunday, and we're going to look at Nigel Clarke's budget presentation again. And we are going to make sure, as best as we possibly can, break down every aspect of his presentation and to make sure that every average Jamaican have a clear understanding of what it really meant for their pocket. Joseph, big up yourself. Good to see you. One Ciara, big up yourself. Ciara, good to see you. Fancy Face, make sure you're following us. Nicole, what's going on with you, Nicole? Make sure you're following Chops Media. Make sure you're following Chops Media. We have to bring this up to 10,000 by the end of, not tonight, but by Sunday, we got to get this up to 10,000. Real-time duration, 1 hour and 48 minutes. Total views. We got 23 new followers. 23, okay. That's what we've got so far. 23 new persons follow us. Yeah, all right, cool. We appreciate that. But yeah, we got 23 new followers and we're looking for more. So just make sure that you guys go ahead and follow us, share the program once we leave, and the love doesn't stop there. We're going to break this off and we're going to come back tomorrow. We'll be here again tomorrow to have a little brief discussion. But the big show is going to be on Sunday, live, where we're going to be taking Dr. Dave, big up yourself. On Sunday, we're going to take the Nigel Clarke's budget and we're going to look at it in depth. We're going to explain it to the average Jamaican so that everybody can understand. Until such time, guys, I just want to say I appreciate you all for tapping up the screen. All my tappers, all my supporters, all the Chops Media family, big up yourself. For the new persons who've just joined us, Big up yourself, all the new YouTubers. Big up yourself, all the new YouTube followers. Big up yourself. We're looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. We're going to have a big, healthy discussion, dissecting, breaking down Nigel Clarke's budget presentation. We're going to talk about all the goodies. We're going to talk about all the positive things that came out of the budget. I'm going to talk about red card. Right, Paula? Big up yourself, Paula. Enough respect to you. Andrea Leng, big up yourself. Donald, big up yourself. Headbanger, big up yourself. All the people who came through and support Top the Screen, all the people who shared the live, big up yourself. For all the new persons who follow us, big up yourself. We are grateful and we look forward to seeing you. Abraham Foggy, big up yourself. We're looking forward to seeing you all on Sunday. On Sunday, 8 p.m. Big up yourself. Hard Headbanger. I hope you're live. I hope you're watching the program. I hope you're following. Let me see. If you're not yet following, let me follow you. Headbanger, make sure you follow the thing, brethren. Make sure you follow the thing. We just follow you a while ago. Make sure you follow the thing. And all the persons who follow, we're going to take some time out to follow you all back. And make sure that we keep the link going. Yeah, man. Laura, TikToker, Wagwan. Laura, big up yourself. Make sure you're following this Chaps Media live, because come Sunday, we're going to have a banger. You understand? So come through. Make sure you join us. Max, big up yourself. Rasta is in the building. Big up yourself. Detailer, big up yourself. I hope my detailer, my virgin, you know. Big up yourself, man. Big up yourself, detailer. Enough respect. Yeah, so if you're not yet following us, Laura, please do, because come Sunday, we're going to be live. We're going to be looking at Nigel Clarke's budget presentation. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bring some expert in to explain the benefits, the pros and the cons, if there's any cons, but more pros on that budget presentation. So see you all on Sunday. Peace, peace, love, happiness, joy, and we are out. Good night. Good night, everybody. Big up yourself, Taylor, Paul, Facey, Jason Morgan, big up yourself. Courtney Edwards, big up yourself. Steve Donaldson, big up yourself. What else you got? Bunch of folks here. Rollin Colley, big up yourself. All the persons who comment, big up yourself. Enough respect to y'all. And all the persons who we have not been able to big up, enough love. We'll see y'all on Sunday. Peace and